So the third setup I have for you guys is on XAUUSD. So I haven't traded this pair in quite some time, but a lot of you guys have been messaging me wanting me to analyze this. So here's my analysis for you. And honestly, the market seems to be setting up pretty nicely for a potential either break to the upside or a break to the downside. But on the weekly time frame, you can see we just formed a huge bullish candlestick over here after forming two continuous bearish candlesticks. So we had a huge bearish engulfing and indecision candlesticks. I consider this candle to be indecision because you guys can see the wick at the top and the wick at the bottom is the same length. So this right here is considered to be an indecision, and this big candlestick right here is actually a bullish candlestick. So some people could consider this to be a morning star formation, and honestly it does seem like price will continue to push to the upside, especially simply looking at this candlestick. It seems as though there is a lot of bullish pressure right now. But for us, obviously, we would have to wait for certain things to line up for us to actually execute a potential order and a potential trade on such a setup. Now on the daily time frame, you can see after we formed this big impulsive move to the downside, some people, or this move right here could be considered a retracement phase for potential another move to the downside, but obviously we would have to wait. The reason why I say that this could be a retracement and we could expect another push to the downside is because after we had a 1, 2, 3 strong bullish candlesticks pushing price up, 1625 price had trouble breaking above, and you can see we just formed two indecision candlesticks where obviously, as I explained earlier, we have equal wicks to the bottom and to the top. So this right here shows us that the price is indecisive and does not know whether to continue to push to the upside or whether to have a momentum switch and push to the downside. Now obviously when there is a doji candlestick on the higher time frames, on the lower time frames it is seen as consolidation, obviously because it is an indecision. Indecision basically means market doesn't know whether to push higher or push downwards, so markets just move sideways instead. So you guys can see we are stuck in this consolidation box after having a huge push to the upside, which could be considered a retracement. Notice I said could be. All right, so I want to emphasize on this point. This right here could be a retracement. We would have to wait for this consolidation box to be broken to the downside to consider another impulsive move to be formed. But for right now, we simply have to wait for a breakout to occur. If price happens to break to the upside, I'm not going to be entering a buy trade right away. I would actually wait for 1650 to be taken out, just because you guys can see how strong 1650 is as a level of resistance. You guys can see support, resistance, 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 support over here as well. So I would have to wait for 1650 to be taken out before looking at 1675 to be our next target. However, if price happens to push to the upside over here, has a rejection, I would then be looking for a sell opportunity back towards the downside, coming back towards 1600. And if we are able to break 1600, we would then be looking at 1575 being our next target. So simply put, we're simply waiting for the daily closure on gold. Obviously, if you guys were on my Instagram live yesterday, you guys know that the daily closure is a very important aspect of my trading plan. So even if price happens to push to the upside over here and we see a rejection occurring, I will not be entering the trade because obviously I would then be breaking my trading plan, and we all know you should not be doing that. So nonetheless, the daily closure is what we're waiting for. I would simply be looking for a break or bounce from this level right here. If we have a bounce, I'll be looking for 1600 as our next target. If we have a break, I'll be looking for 1675 being our next target to the upside.